The harsh truth about women, and no one listened. The name Nietzsche attached to such a statement immediately sparks controversy, perhaps even discomfort. Nietzsche, the philosopher of the will to power, the challenger of conventional morality, the prophet of the Übermensch. His views, particularly on women, have been debated, condemned, and often deeply misunderstood for over a century. But what if, beneath the layers of provocative rhetoric and historical misinterpretation, there lie certain harsh truths, not necessarily about women as a monolithic group, but about human dynamics, about our own projections, and about the challenging realities of life and relationships that many of us, men in particular, have historically failed to listen to. Today we're not here to rehash tired misogynistic tropes or to simply take Nietzsche's most jarring statements at face value. Instead, we're going to use the spirit of Nietzschean inquiry, that unflinching willingness to question comfortable illusions and confront difficult realities, to unearth some profound insights that can empower you as a man to navigate the world and your relationships with greater clarity, integrity, and authentic strength. These are the kinds of truths that demand self-reflection, the kind that, once truly understood and integrated, can liberate you from cycles of confusion, frustration, and unfulfilled potential. The question isn't just what Nietzsche said, but what vital understanding have we failed to hear? Before we dive in, let's acknowledge the lens we're using. Think of Nietzsche not as an oracle delivering infallible pronouncements, but as a brilliant, if sometimes abrasive, diagnostician of the human condition. He sought to strip away hypocrisy, to challenge herd mentalities, and to force individuals to confront the often uncomfortable foundations of their beliefs and values. It's this spirit of radical honesty and self-examination we'll be channeling. So, what are some of these harsh truths that many haven't listened to, truths that can reshape your understanding? First harsh truth: idealization is a prison you build for others, and ultimately for yourself. How often do men, consciously or unconsciously, place women on pedestals, imbuing them with almost mythical qualities of purity, salvation, or unending nurturance? Or conversely, demonize them as unfathomable enigmas or sources of temptation? This act of idealization, whether positive or negative, is a profound error, a failure to see the actual human being. The harshness here is realizing that this isn't a tribute, it's a form of psychological blindness. When you project your unmet needs, your fantasies, or your unintegrated aspects onto a woman, you deny her her own complex, imperfect humanity. You create an impossible standard, and when she inevitably fails to live up to the flawless goddess or the perfectly compliant partner you've constructed in your mind, the fall is brutal, not just for her, but for your own emotional stability. Disillusionment turns to resentment, admiration to bitterness. The wisdom here, echoed by many deep thinkers, is the imperative to strive for clear perception, to engage with reality as it is, not as your ego wishes it to be. This means developing the capacity to see individuals, including the women in your life, in their full dimensionality, with their strengths and weaknesses, their light and their shadow. It means taking responsibility for your own projections and understanding that no one else exists solely to fulfill your internal narrative or heal your deficiencies. This clear-sightedness is a cornerstone of emotional maturity and healthy relating. Second harsh truth: lasting attraction and deep respect are earned, not entitled. They respond to inner substance, not just superficialities. In a world saturated with quick fixes and superficial metrics of success, it's easy to believe that charm, looks, or fleeting displays of status are the primary drivers of female interest. But while these might capture initial attention, they rarely sustain genuine, deep-seated attraction or respect in the long run. The harshness lies in the realization that there are no shortcuts to becoming a man of substance. True, enduring attraction often gravitates towards an internal locus of control, a demonstrated capacity for competence, integrity, and purpose. It responds to a man who has, to put it plainly, put his own house in order. This means he has a mission beyond just chasing pleasure or approval. He has self-respect, he embodies his values, he takes responsibility for his life, and he is moving forward with a sense of direction. This isn't about achieving a certain level of income or status as an external show. It's about the inner fortitude and character that these achievements often represent. Tolerating mediocrity in yourself, avoiding responsibility, or lacking a clear direction in life will invariably be reflected in the quality of your relationships and the respect you garner. The wisdom is to shift your focus from "what can I get" to "who do I need to become?" Cultivate your own value, your own strength of character, and your own purpose, and you'll find that the dynamics of attraction and respect begin to shift naturally, based on something far more solid than fleeting charm. Third harsh truth: you cannot truly understand the feminine without confronting and integrating your own inner feminine, the anima. Carl Jung, a successor to Nietzsche in many ways in exploring the depths of the psyche, introduced the concept of the anima, the unconscious feminine aspect within a man's psychology. Many men raised in cultures that often devalue or misunderstand femininity either repress these aspects of themselves or remain completely unconscious of them. The harsh truth here is that an unintegrated anima wreaks havoc on a man's life, particularly his relationships with women. If a man is unconscious of his own capacity for empathy, intuition, relatedness, and receptivity, qualities often associated with the feminine principle, he will inevitably project these onto the women he encounters. He might seek a woman to complete him, to provide the emotional depth he lacks in himself. He might be irrationally drawn to certain types of women who embody his projected anima, leading to intense but often unstable or codependent relationships. Or he might fear and devalue feminine qualities, both in women and in himself, leading to a rigid, emotionally stunted existence. The empowering wisdom, the part no one listened to, perhaps because it requires deep inner work, is that true understanding and mature relating with women begins with understanding and integrating your own anima. This means acknowledging and developing your capacity for feeling, your intuition, your creativity, and your ability to connect on a deeply human level. It's about becoming whole within yourself. When a man is more integrated, he no longer needs a woman to carry his projected feminine qualities. He can then relate to women as complete individuals, appreciating their unique femininity without being unconsciously driven by his own internal lacks or idealized projections. This leads to relationships based on genuine partnership rather than unconscious need. Fourth harsh truth, and this one truly requires courage to face: you are responsible for the boundaries you permit. Nietzsche often spoke of power and the will. In relationship dynamics, power isn't just about dominance, it's also about sovereignty, the power to define your own space and what you will or will not accept. A harsh truth many fail to heed is that the disrespect or poor treatment you experience from anyone, including family or romantic partners, is often a direct reflection of the boundaries you have failed to establish and enforce. It's easy to blame the other person for their behavior. It's much harder to look inward and ask, what in me allowed or invited this? Why did I tolerate this for so long? Tolerating consistent disrespect, manipulation, or boundary violations erodes your self-worth and teaches others that such behavior is acceptable. The wisdom is that you are the gatekeeper of your own well-being. This means defining your non-negotiables, clearly communicating your boundaries, and being willing to enforce them with consequences, even if those consequences are difficult, like creating distance from someone you care about. This isn't about being punitive, it's about self-preservation and teaching others, through your actions, how you require to be treated. It's an act of taking radical responsibility for the quality of your interactions and your life. So why have these harsh truths so often fallen on deaf ears? Why has no one listened? Perhaps because they demand too much of us. They demand that we abandon comfortable illusions and romanticized notions. They require rigorous self-honesty and a willingness to confront our own shadows, our own contributions to our dysfunctions. The ego naturally resists such discomfort. Societal narratives often prefer simpler, more flattering stories. It's easier to follow the herd, to accept pre-packaged beliefs, than to undertake the arduous journey of individual self-overcoming that Nietzsche championed. The pain of disillusionment, of realizing one has been operating under false premises, can be intense. But the call to listen isn't a call to blindly accept Nietzschean dogma, or any dogma for that matter. It's an invitation to engage with these challenging perspectives as catalysts for your own growth. These harsh truths, when viewed through a lens of personal responsibility and a commitment to self-awareness, are not about fostering resentment towards women or anyone else. They are about empowering you, as a man, to shed naivety, to understand the deeper psychological and relational dynamics at play, and to build a life and relationships founded on clarity, strength, and authenticity. It's about choosing to see clearly, even when the truth is uncomfortable. It's about taking responsibility for your perceptions, your choices, and your internal state. When you stop demanding that the world or others conform to your illusions, and instead focus on cultivating your own integrity and understanding, you begin to operate from a place of true power, not power over others, but the power of a well-ordered, self-aware, and resilient self. This is the enduring challenge, the path less traveled, but it is the path that leads to genuine transformation.